Hey everybody, and welcome to my first of 3 videos on the Minolta Alpha or Maxxum 7. This is a camera with which I have a significant love-hate relationship. Now, I say that because you see here 2 Maxxum 7s. If you've seen my review about the Maxxum 7, it took me either 3 or 4 cameras. I think it was 3, and this was the one that did the most of the work on that video, to get all of those shots because they keep breaking. And it's not like I'm particularly hard on them. This one came in, it was in really bad condition, but it did the majority of the work. At any rate, different things on them break. So on this one, when I got it, the exposure compensation wheel was just missing. But what killed this camera was the hook in the film back breaking for the second time. I crazy glued it in the first time, and then the second time it broke, it got lost, which is too bad because I actually really like this camera. At any rate, so I got this Alpha 7 so I could do this video, and it has a bad circuit board on it. So it does some screwy things sometimes, and we're going to try our darndest to work through it. There may be some, so if you see me switching cameras between one that is in really fantastic cosmetic condition and one that looks like it went through a meat processor, that's what's going on, is that the one that is beautiful is malfunctioning. So at any rate, this camera, the Minolta Maxxum or Alpha or Dynax 7 is an advanced interchangeable lens camera. And advanced simply means it has a lot of features and functions. Interchangeable lens means you can take the lens off, put a different one back on at any point except when you're taking a photo without affecting the images. It has a multi-mode meter with scene mode, which has 14 segments, center weighted and spot. Shutter speeds are 30 seconds to 1/8,000th of a second and bulb. The viewfinder magnification, frame coverage rather, is 92% by 94%, meaning that on one dimension, I think it's this way, it's 92%. You lose about 4% on each side. And on this way, it's 94%, or vice versa. At any rate, on one side, one dimension, you lose about 8% of the frame, and on the other, you lose about 6%. Viewfinder magnification is 0.8x, meaning that what you see is about 80% the size of what's going to hit the film. It has a fixed focusing screen that shows your autofocus points as well as spot metering and center weighted area. And then the flash sync speed is 1/200th of a second. The target market for this camera was the advanced amateur to professional, but realistically, it more would have been the advanced amateur because of all the gimmicks. Gimmicks is kind of a judgmental word, and I don't mean it to be. The extraneous features on this that would not really do much for a professional. The specifications are professional level, but it has an amateur type interface with an amateur level of construction. There are also the borderline kitschy features like STF simulation, which is kind of a pain to use, and which I will do a video about specifically, just not with this batch of videos. Also, there's no weather sealing, which can be a problem for a camera like this, which is dependent on its electronic innards. So don't do rain photos or up-close waterfall shots with this camera. It was produced by Minolta in Japan from 2000 until sometime before 2005. What I can tell you for sure is that in 2005, Minolta confirmed that this was out of production, but nowhere have I been able to find a firm date as to what year it went out of production. It was preceded by nothing directly. The 7XI was the previous 7 model, but 5 years separated the two cameras, and according to the Wikipedia article on this, the 7XI was an enthusiast camera, and the 7 was a higher-end flagship. It was concurrent with the 9543, 800 SI, 505 SI, 404 SI, 70, and 50. And it was followed by nothing directly in film, but the Minolta Maxxum 7D digital shares a lot of the camera's design and interface structures. So if you have your Minolta Alpha Maxxum or Dynax 7, we're going to go over now what all of the different things on it are. And we're going to start on the top, though technically this is the side, front and side with the strap lugs here where you will connect your camera strap. Here on the side, we have the flash PC port right there. This is the, this switch right here is your flash exposure value compensation switch, meaning that as you adjust it, it will increase or decrease the power to the flash and the amount of light output from the flash. This is your exposure compensation dial and lock in the middle. So you push down the lock and now you can adjust your exposure compensation dial. And you push it down again to get to the other side of the dial. So the white numbers are half stop exposure compensation and the orange numbers are third stop. Third stop is preferable for slide film. Half stop is fine for color negative and black and white. Slide film has a narrower exposure range, so you'd want to use third stop with that. And you can probably tell what I shot with this camera most recently. Hot shoe uses the wonky proprietary Sony then Minolta hot shoe. This little outcropping there, oh, we have the pop-up flash right here, which has manual pop-up. So you just do it with your thumbs. Then here there's a little outcropping that is your index for your mode dial. The mode dial is beautifully simple. There's a lock here in the middle to allow you to turn it. You have manual, shutter priority, aperture priority, program, full auto, and then your 3 custom functions right there. Here is your drive mode switch next to the mode dial. We have in red, multiple exposure, self-timer, continuous, single frame, and bracketing continuous and bracketing single. The difference between bracketing continuous and bracketing single is whether you press the shutter button once to take your bracketed series or one time for each frame in your bracketed series. Here we have the LCD screen, shutter release, and front command wheel. On the front of the camera, we have the grip power. We have the grip sensor here, which detects if you're holding the camera and allows power to go to the camera when you hold it. We have the autofocus assist light, the depth of field preview button, lens mount, lens mounting index, lens release button, and the autofocus mode switch, manual, continuous, single servo up here, and then the A is automatic between continuous and single servo, and then of course the model designation. On the camera's back, we have the power switch right here, on and off, viewfinder, eye sensors, auto exposure lock button, metering mode selection switch, autofocus manual focus override button, rear command dial here. This is your film type window. This turns the display on. This illuminates the display. Under this little fold down dude, we have your data button, ISO, date, adjustment. I believe that's language. I should just check on the Maxxum, that'll tell me. Oh, that's your enter button. The one that's in Japanese there is enter. And then custom functions. If you want to clear out your data, you hold data and adjust. And if you want to turn beeps on and off, you hold adjust and custom. In the third video, we're going to go through everything in the custom functions menu. It's going to get its own video. Here we have the LCD display. This is your AF selection switch. So that little white index there will tell you which autofocus mode you're in. 4-way crosspad autofocus button. Film rewind override, so that if you want to rewind partway through a roll of film, you can. This is your eye start on-off button, meaning that if it's on, when you put your eye up to the camera, everything will start running. I don't like this because the sensors cannot differentiate between your eye and your belly if you have this around your neck on a shoulder strap. On the camera's bottom, do I still have film in there? Doesn't look like it. Nope, I don't. Okay. On the camera's bottom, we have the type of film I was using most recently, Silver Max. All right, we have the serial number there, tripod socket, CE designation, CR123 battery chamber. Oh, okay, they have life in them. And the battery grip port right there. Inside the camera, we have the film cassette chamber there with the DX reading codes, film guide rails here, and the shutter right there. The inside guide rails help the film move across the camera and stay flat when sandwiched between the guide rails and the pressure plate. And the outside guide rails help keep the film from moving up and down so that all of your frames are properly aligned. Film roller right here. This is your film take-up spool and your film leader indicator. So when you pull out your leader, as we'll see in the second video after loading the film, this is where you drop the leader. These help keep the film pressed up against here so that it advances correctly. Pressure plate, foam seal around the window, and then this little spring here on the door lines up with the cassette to help it stay properly aligned to feed through the camera. Major weakness in this camera is that the film backs are not interchangeable because there is a data ribbon or a power ribbon going from the camera to the film back, which means that if this plastic lock breaks like it did on my Maxxum, you are just out of luck and have to get someone to take this camera apart to do an in-depth repair. And then on this side we have the flash sync dial between red eye, normal, which is front curtain sync, rear curtain sync, and WL. Do not remember what WL stands for. Some things not to do with your Minolta Alpha or Maxxum or Dynax 7. Don't touch the shutter because you can brick your camera very easily. Don't touch the mirror because your finger oils can desilver it, which will impair your autofocus and your viewfinder brightness. Don't leave your camera and lenses in your car. The heat can cause the oils to get thin and get to places they shouldn't, especially with lenses and the aperture, which can impair their ability to work. The cold can cause the oils to break down and get gummy, which prevents them from working properly. Also, these are nice looking cameras. People would look at this, and if somebody is so inclined to break your window to take your camera, this would look like it would get a lot of money. I mean, it would. They're what, $150 to $250 cameras, give or take. Do not store your camera in a plastic bag or box unless you have a rechargeable desiccant pack that you keep recharged. Water can permeate plastic, and that will allow fungus to grow on the lenses, and not so much in the rubber anymore, but you can still get a slight mildewy smell to your camera. And just remember that your Minolta Alpha, Maxxum, or Dynax 7 is a precision tool and should be handled with care and respect. As long as you take care of your camera will take care of you. So this was video 1 of 3. In video 2, we're going to talk about how to use the functions in this camera, and in video 3, we're going to look at just the custom functions menu. Thank you for watching this video. Please give me a thumbs up. That lets me know that I'm on the right track producing content which is useful and helpful to you. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comments section below. I'm pretty good about checking these every couple of days and answering questions. If you have any suggestions or ideas for future videos, and if I have the technical know-how and equipment, I'm more than happy to make those. One last thing. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. I gotta get up, Steinbeck. I have to turn off the camera.